What's going on, everyone? It's Adam with Assemblage. Welcome back to our channel. We are back with part 2 of the popular wine subscription box unboxing videos. Today we are going to be unboxing Bright Cellars. Bright Cellars, again, they had a quiz that you completed, and with the results of the quiz, they picked out 4 wines for me. So I'm going to insert that in a few minutes into the video, but this was I believe the most expensive of the 3 boxes. It was $38 for the 4 wines. So I'm hoping that they're good. I suspect that they're pretty good. I was pleasantly surprised with Wink's first box. 4 pretty solid wines that I finished enjoying after the video was made. And I really liked them. I was overall surprised. So I'm excited to see what Bright Cellars has put together for us. So I'm going to insert that now. So now that you have seen the video of the quiz that Bright Cellars gave to us to figure out what wines that we would most enjoy, let's see what's inside the box. All right, so what I'll say about the outside of the box, the outside packaging, very plain, very kind of just a cardboard box. But inside, it's very nice packaging. You can see these little wine wisdom cards that they've included. It says that your cards will help you rate your matches and host your own tastings with friends, which is pretty cool. So on here, it looks like we've got the wines that they picked out for us. So a little sneak peek on that. And then it looks like there is a little card about how to use a corkscrew. And then it looks like there's a little bit more information as far as serving temperatures, storing your wine, which is all really good information to have to properly enjoy your wines that they picked out for you. So we'll get back to these a little bit later. So lift up this, and we've got some wine. Looks like we've got a Shiraz and another bottle there. And then underneath that, we have 2 more bottles of wine. So let's see what all we got and just do a first kind of impression on these wines, and then we'll get them cold and be tasting them. So with this box, it looks like we got 1 white wine and 3 red wines. So let's check out the packaging. Let's see what all we have. And we're also going to use these cards to kind of see what they say about these wines. So we'll start with the white wine, Watchkeeper 2020 Dry White from California. So pretty cool label there. Kind of an interesting picture from the label. It just says 2020 California Dry White, 12.1% alcohol. On here, this is the little card for it. It says Watchkeeper Dry White, bursting with bright citrus aromas and flavors like lemon, grapefruit, and pomelo. This white is dry, crisp with moderate acidity, soft florals on the nose, light in body. Again, it doesn't say what's in it. It just says New World, warm climate. I'm guessing it might be Chardonnay based. There might be some Sauvignon Blanc. There could be a whole bunch of stuff in here. It even gives you what temperature to serve this wine at, gives you some pairings. Again, I'll show you the little card. And then on the back of the card, it has a picture of the label, which is pretty cool. I will say it's nice that they included these little cards with the wines. I think especially if you are just kind of starting to drink wine and starting to dive into the world of wine, these cards are really helpful for figuring out what is in the wine, maybe some flavor profiles. That way, when you're tasting them at home, you can sort of put your finger on what you're tasting. There's a lot of buzzwords that are thrown around with professional sommeliers and people who try wine for a living, and maybe you don't know what pomelo tastes like, or what certain fruit or mineral characteristics taste like. So with these, it's kind of nice that they have included some tasting notes, serving temperatures, food pairings, so then you can better enjoy the wine that you have. So with that being said, so we've got the one white wine, onto the red wines. The first one, and I'm gonna go from lightest to boldest, at least in my opinion. I could be wrong, with how the wines are made. They might be made in a different style than I would typically think. So this one is Tetrachroma Pinot Noir 2020. This is from Lodi, California. Got the card here on the back. It's nice because you can match the label on the wine to the label on the back. This is the bottle. It is a screw cap, which is kind of nice. Very interesting label, kind of a gradient, like purple blue on the label, which is kind of nice. So yeah, New World Pinot Noir from California. On this, it says, this Pinot Noir shows balanced acidity with light body and red ripe fruit of strawberry, raspberry, and cherry, touches of baking spice and earth in the finish, which to me lends me to believe that there is a little bit of oak use in this wine. I guess we'll see when we actually taste it, but normally baking spices, vanilla, and some earth could be, the earth could be more in the terroir, but the other two definitely more in oak aging. Again, shows you where the wine's from, some food pairings, proper serving temperature, all that good stuff. So moving on to the next one, we've got Obscura Petite Syrah, and the vintage on this is 2018. So this is the oldest wine that they sent us. The other ones are all 2020. So Obscura is Petite Syrah. I'm guessing it's probably 100%, but with it being from California, it could be as low as 75% to be labeled as that grape varietal. That's the laws of varietal labeling in California. Just a fun fact. So Obscura, pretty cool label as well. I'd say all of these wines have a pretty interesting label, which a lot of people will buy their wine based on the label. So they've done a good job in marketing their wines. We'll see if they taste as good as they look, because a pretty label doesn't always mean pretty wine, but sometimes it does go hand in hand. So we have Obscura Petite Syrah 2018. It says full body and richly flavored. This structured wine has flavors of blackberry jam and ripe plum on the palate, with aromas of baking spice and vanilla on the nose. So dark fruits, a little bit more oak possibly. It says also cocoa. Gives you, again, some nice food pairings, serving temperatures, where it's from. This one is just from California. It doesn't say a certain appellation. So just like the white wine from California, this is essentially a Petite Syrah from California. So no specific region where it's coming from. So to me, that's not necessarily a good thing. I'm a big firm believer of knowing where the wines are coming from. I want to know more specifically than California, because California is a very large state. lots of places grow fruit. Some are better quality, some not so good. So I guess we'll see. The only thing to do is taste it and see kind of what the notes are and what it's tasting like. So finally, the last one is Double Century Shiraz from southeastern Australia. Probably the most basic of the wine labels in this box, but it's still very nice. We've got the card again for the Double Century Shiraz 2020 from South Australia. So the card says, in classic Australian style, this Shiraz is wonderfully fruity and smoky with the slightest hint of cooling eucalyptus on the nose. I love eucalyptus. Ripe fruit notes are balanced by lean acidity. So again, you've got a nice card with tasting notes, with serving temperature recommendations. So it's kind of nice because it shows you where this wine is coming from, specifically in southeastern Australia. So again, this one and the Pinot Noir are the two most specific as far as where the wines are coming from, which is something that I prefer. But again, it doesn't mean the wine's going to be better or worse than something with a little bit less geographic indication. So what we're going to do now is we're going to get the wines to their proper temperature, the white down to in the 40s, and then these into the mid to high 50s, and then we'll be back to taste through these wines. So we'll compare these wines with the first one we did, which was Wink, and then again, we still have one more part to this video, which will be First Leaf's wine. So we will kind of taste through these, figure out which ones we like, which ones we don't like. It won't be as the same comparison to the first box, because remember the first box we had 2 whites and 2 reds. This one we only have 1 white and 3 reds. So again, gonna get these cold and we will be back to taste them with you. All right, so we are back with our first 2 wines from Bright Cellars. We've got our only white wine, the Watchkeeper Dry White from California. 2020 is the vintage on this. Again, not sure what is in this blend, but we are going to give it a try. On the card that they give us, again, the notes, it says grapefruit, lemon, lime zest, and citrus blossom. So we'll kind of give it a look, give it a smell, give it a taste, and assess if these cards are, pretty accurate, and then overall how the wine is. So just looking at the wine, definitely very clear, not much color to it at all. I would almost say a water white or maybe a very pale straw color, if anything. I do get a little bit of lemon, maybe a slight hint of lime zest. I don't get a ton of grapefruit. I do definitely get some floral components to it. I'd say it's more along the lines of like white flowers. I don't know that I necessarily get citrus blossom, but I do kind of get a floral component, maybe a little bit of minerality to it, some just kind of clean stones. Let's give it a taste. Overall, it's not a super flavorful white wine. I do get a little bit of the citrus notes. The acid is just kind of like a moderate acid. There's not a whole lot of complexity to this. I would say the nose is slightly more giving than the palate is. And overall, not necessarily my style of white. So next we are going on to the 2020 Tetrachroma Pinot Noir from Lodi, California. This to me is probably my favorite label. It's very simple, but I like kind of how the color changes, how you can see on that label. Really like Pinot Noir. California Pinots are really nice, very interesting as a region, especially with Lodi. Doesn't get as much love as say like Napa and Sonoma, but they have some really fantastic wines, some really fantastic producers down there. So definitely check it out. On this card here, says notes of cranberry, strawberry, red currant, and vanilla. Some of the pairings that they say, Alpine style cheese, grilled portobello burgers, and Monday night dinners. It's Monday night that I'm recording this, so maybe this will be our dinner wine. Just looking at it, looks like Pinot Noir, very light in color, kind of out to a watery rim in the glass. Looks just like Pinot Noir should. On the nose, definitely get some underripe strawberry. I get a little bit of vanilla, a little bit of baking spices, but not overly aggressive. I don't really pick up a ton of cranberry. It's more along the lines of like a strawberry or even maybe a raspberry. The palate, definitely a little bit juicier than, say, a typical Pinot Noir that I enjoy would be, but overall, beautiful fruit characteristic. There's a nice earthiness. You definitely pick up that vanilla, warm baking spices, but again, not overly assertive or out of balance. It just kind of works with the fruitiness of the wine. Nice acidity. It's exactly what I would think of when I think of a California Pinot Noir. Really beautifully crafted wine. I definitely recommend this, especially over the first one. I think it's got a nice complexity. It's very well balanced. There's beautiful acidity, nice fruit characteristics. Overall, I give this Tetrachroma Pinot Noir probably like 8 out of 10, which is very good. Probably my favorite wine that I've had so far. Granted, we still have 2 wines in this box, and then the third video, I believe that there's 6 wines in that one. So that'll be a little bit longer of a video, but so far, Tetrachroma Pinot Noir 2020, my favorite wine that we've had so far. So let's see what the next 2 wines are all about. All right, we are back with the second pair and last pair from the Bright Cellars box. We are gonna start with the Double Century Shiraz from Southeastern Australia. We've got the card. Let's see what the card says. So this is a 13.7% alcohol. The pairings, it says smoked cow's milk cheeses, slow cooker carnitas, and Friday night dinner. It's kind of interesting that, you know, maybe because this is more of a celebration wine, you know, to have on Friday. Not sure what Friday night dinner is. Maybe, you know, growing up, typically that was pizza, so maybe it's a good pizza wine. Notes, it says plum, blackberry smoke, and eucalyptus. Eucalyptus is one of my favorite things, not only in wine, but in popular Italian digestifs. So let's give this wine a look, a smell, and a taste. Pretty light in color, maybe a little bit darker than the Pinot Noir that we just tried. On the nose though, definitely darker fruits, blackberries, plums, like the card says. I'd even go like black currant. You could definitely get kind of a smoky, chocolatey characteristic to it. I don't get a ton of smoke, but I do get some warm baking spices. On the palate, you definitely get more of that smoky eucalyptus note that they're saying in the description. Yeah, you definitely get like those black plums and blackberries. Very juicy, very typical of a Southeastern Australian Shiraz. I'm not picking up on a ton of the eucalyptus. Again, like it's there, but it's not a forefront characteristic that I would say. I would probably change out the eucalyptus for like warm baking spices on this card. But again, maybe they're just trying to add something that, you know, not everyone would think of, which I give them props for. This is a 2020 vintage, so it's still very young. I think this is too young. In my personal preference, I think that a little bit of age might kind of mellow out the fruit characteristics and kind of allow some of the other characteristics in this wine to come out and shine. So, but overall, good wine. Not as nice to me as the Pinot Noir, but I can kind of see what they mean by Friday night wine. Definitely big, bold, gets you set for the weekend. Whereas the Pinot Noir, very elegant, very soft, kind of eases you into your week. So last wine of the box is the Obscura Petite Syrah from, again, just California, just like the white wine. So there's no geographic indication of where in California this wine comes from. So we will give it a try. This is a 2018. So this is the only non-2020 wine that we have. So we will give it a shot. It's got a little bit of age on it, which is kind of nice. Definitely the darkest of all the wines. It's definitely a really nice garnet color. So give it a smell. I get some of the cocoa notes that it says. Before I jump more into this, just a reminder, blackberry plum, cocoa, and vanilla. The pairings, it says Gruyere or Pecorino, roast and spiced pork loin, and then upscale dinner parties. So if you ever have upscale dinner parties at your house, or you're going to something and you want to impress someone, to them, this is a great wine for that. I kind of like these cards though. It's kind of fun. It kind of makes you think of maybe different things that you might not have thought of. So I kind of like these. On the palate, definitely the heaviest of all the wines. It's also the highest in alcohol, which you can really taste. It's not overly alcoholic, but you definitely kind of get a little bit more in your throat. Overall, the fruit notes are kind of muted. I was kind of expecting it to be a little bit juicier and a little bit more full, but it's actually very rich but elegant at the same time. It's not overly extracted. Overall, it's a beautifully made wine. I definitely would maybe take this to an upscale dinner party. It depends who's gonna be there and what friends are gonna be there. But you know, it's overall a really nice wine. Definitely the biggest and the boldest of all the wines that we've had. Beautiful color, not overly fruit forward. So for California, I give it a thumbs up. I think all the wines in this box were super strong, except for the white wine. I think the white wine kind of lacked some, level of complexity, or it was missing some acidity, it was missing some fruit, it was missing something. But other than that, the wines showed really well. My first favorite, definitely the Pinot Noir from Lodi, California. Second favorite, probably this Obscura Petite Syrah. Third favorite, this double century Shiraz from southeastern Australia. So overall, a really nice box. It was the most expensive, but it did have my favorite wines so far, which, you know, I will take. Lots of cool perks too, like this little threefold, which gives you, again, corkscrew, you know, what temperatures to serve your wine, and then how to cellar your wine. So these are all three very important things when it comes to storing and serving and drinking wine, which I appreciate as a sommelier. I also really do enjoy these cards. I think that they're a great guide for people who may not know a ton about wine, but they want to learn more. So these cards can give you kind of a nice reference point to start figuring out what certain things taste like, which is kind of a nice thing. So if you like this video and you're excited for part 3, which is First Leaf, make sure you comment down below what your favorite wine, or what you think your favorite wine would be of this box. Yeah, we'll be back. Make sure you like it, subscribe, tell your friends, share it. Anything you can do to help us get this channel going and get us some more subscribers. We really appreciate it, and thank you. Cheers, and we hope you have a great night.